right, we got another Shamrock here wanting to tell us who you are.
I'm Lane Kaiser.
Lane Kaiser, you might be seeing a review video with him later on. Go ahead, everything you got.
Yeah.
156.
What'd you get?
Try your other hand.
I did it in kilograms. I got 55.6, and then I did pounds.
I think this guy's gonna be a strong. We'll try.
Good. What we got? 137.6.
You beat me.
So with the 156, you're in the top 5 of both days. Yeah. There's an old saying: you'd better stay in your own lane. You guys see what I've done there. Our guest here today is a state champion representing the Shamrocks of Trinity. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
Hey, I'm Lane Kaiser, senior at Trinity High School.
And you are the 190-pound state champion 2024. And I was thinking, since we got this, lined up at the horse park, what would be a good opening? And I thought, stay in your own lane, man. What I'm saying? Everybody says that, and I thought that's a perfect little intro. Stay in your lane unless you want to get ran over by the lane, right? So let's talk about what got you into wrestling. Trinity has a phenomenal program. We'll talk a little bit about their history. But what gets you into it specifically? What's like, man, I got to do this moment?
Yeah, so I started jiu-jitsu at 4.5, just from a friend from preschool. Told me about it, and so I wasn't involved in anything. So we started there, and the longer I went into jiu-jitsu, the more I kind of liked it and wanted to start competing. So I do that first competition, and the whole family kind of catches the bug of competition. So we all just start kind of traveling, doing those. And the more I would go against wrestlers, even at a young age, like 3rd grade, we saw the wrestlers were just taking me down. So easy to start off the match,
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, okay, well, let's do a couple of seasons of wrestling just to get your takedowns up to par. And so I started wrestling in 3rd grade, and and then after that, it's just kind of jiu-jitsu kind of started taking a little step back, and wrestling was like the main focus. And so yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it.
That's cool. That's a great wrestling and jiu-jitsu. When you can marry those two or pair them up and use what you're good at with wrestling and submissions or positions or sweeps or whatever you learn jiu-jitsu, man, you can be, I don't want to say unstoppable, but you can be tough. I mean,
yeah, I
really
definitely feel just the leverage and advantage I have in wrestling with the scrambling from jiu-jitsu, and also just kind of like I feel like it helps with thinking out a lot of moves, and it doesn't make me as scared to go to my back for a second if I know that it's going to help.
Yeah. No, what belt are you right now?
I'm a blue belt.
Oh, that's that, man. And people might watch this and don't know about jiu-jitsu, but a blue belt, I mean, that's pretty close to almost like a brown belt, or even some type of karate is even like a black belt, because you just don't walk in and do a couple, hi-yas, and you get your blue belt. I mean, you got to earn it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, in August, it'll be, like 14 years from when I started.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's definitely been a while. I don't train as much anymore as I used to or would like to, because I still love it. But it definitely takes a long time. And I'm glad that when I switched over from like the kid ranks to the adults, blue belt it lets me compete at blue belt a couple more times, because I'm blue belt 3 stripes at 4. I would take the test for purple. Right. So this kind of gives me the opportunity to compete at blue belt a little bit.
No, I get it. I understand exactly what you're talking about. So let's talk real quick about the history of Trinity wrestling, the lineage, the legacy, because Trinity has a not just wrestling but athletic department in general: football, golf, soccer, you name it. That's a boys sport. Trinity has probably won multiple state championships throughout the decades. So let's talk about the wrestling though. 3 team state championships, 1989, 2009, 2010. And here's a little factoid that not everybody knows. Maybe the Trinity crowd does, but the coach that was after 2009, 2010, Richard Brown, he was on the 89 team, and he also is a 1991 state champion. So I don't think the only one besides Coach Brown that I know for a fact has done it, win an individual state championship, win a team state championship, and then coach their team to a team state championship is Richard Brown of Trinity and Robert Irvin of Union County. That's the only 2 in state history that has done that. So that's elite company, but I wanted to bring that up about Richard Brown.
That's awesome.
Like I said, 89, 09, 2010, 2 most outstanding wrestlers, Larry Gibson, 1980, and of course, 4-timer John Fahey in 2012. And as it stands now, this is March the 12th, 2024. Trinity has 42 individual state champions. You account for one of those, of course. And we got to go to Trinity's mat room August of 2022. We done Alex Ray's video, and we actually done Richard Brown's memorial. And Trinity, phenomenal mat room. They have the state championship banners up in your room. They have, I believe, multiple time state champions, 2, 3, and 4 get like a banner in the room, and the individuals have like a photo there on the wall. Excellent. Just phenomenal. You can only imagine how nice Trinity's mat room is. So let's talk about your state tournament appearances and placement, because you have a great story to tell. I love being able to tell the story here. 2021, which we all know what was going on in 2021. You're a freshman, 175 pounds. You come in 3rd place. Of course, that was the year. We're not even going to say it, but Miss Rona was doing her shenanigans. The state tournament we went region, semi-state, then the top 2 from each semi-state made it. And so we had 8 placers, 8 wrestlers, and you come in 3rd place, I believe, that year. So a freshman, 3rd place, man, that's with everything, you guys had to deal, not just you guys, but everybody had to deal with. That's doing something. You know what I mean? That's doing something.
Yeah, it was an awesome year. I definitely saw a lot of growth from 8th grade to that freshman year state, because I competed at high school state in my 8th grade year for Spencer County. Okay. And I had Dalton Russellberg 1st round in 8th grade. So, it's pretty funny that now, like, then freshman year, we wrestled and I lost to him 5-6, like one of my first matches freshman year. Mm-hmm. So it was like good to see me like closing that gap early on. And, but that was really, you hate to say like 3rd is ever the goal, but I knew what I was up against with Noah Duke and Dalton Russellberg as a freshman. There was just a skill gap that was a little too hard to close in that short of a time period. So if I would have drawn one of them, I would have wrestled them, like to go out there and beat them. But, my goal was definitely top 3.
Oh, yeah. It was great to be able to get that. I hate to say you didn't get this full state tournament experience because we were in a gym. It was just a 1-day, 8-man bracket. But nevertheless, you're seeing people you've probably never saw before, schools you've never saw or competed against, I should say. Maybe not necessarily in your bracket, but they're there, they're represented in like eastern part of the state, the southern part, maybe some of the northern Kentucky schools, even far western part of the state. So it was good to see the whole state come together and be there and say, okay, yeah, hey, this team, man, they're really good upper body attack. Maybe next year if I see them, I know be looking out for this, or this team is really good on top, whatever the case is.
For sure.
State tournament, you can't overstate how important the experience of competing in the state tournament is, just because it's not just another match. It's not just another tournament. I mean, this is what you work for. I mean, this is it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody breaks down their huddle. All right, guys, get in here. 1, 2, 3, state runner up, or 1, 2, 3, whatever. No, 1, 2, 3, state champs. We don't say anything else. That's what we train for. It's what we practice for. It's why we're doing this, and that's why we're here. Now let's fast forward. Let's talk about your sophomore year. The earth, the universe is starting to see some normalcy. We're back to a 2-day state tournament. We're still at GRC in Winchester. They're the high school. 175 pounds. You get to the finals, and you run into the person you already mentioned, Noah Duke. Of course, Noah Duke from Ryle, state champion in 21, most outstanding that year. But he, gets you with a 12-1 major decision. And it says your record for that year ending is 41-1. So that means you were coming in undefeated, correct?
Yeah, I was, and then that includes beating Duke earlier on in that year.
I was hoping you was going to bring that up because I thought you guys had wrestled. So
yeah, so that was exciting. I knew that was the match. By agreeing to be 175 because that's the year the weights changed.
Right.
So I went from 170 and having 182 and 190 because I was like, okay, I'm going to go 70 again, and I figured Duke was probably going to go 82 or something like that. But then it went 75-90. Like, okay, 175 is where I'm going to find my home. And, we talked about maybe dropping to 160, 5 or 167, I guess, after the holidays. We were thinking about that. And it was brought up, and I was like, I'm comfortable at 175, and I think I can beat Noah. I knew how much better I had gotten. So we got to do some of the tournaments that Trinity normally does, like the Modern Day Holiday Classic, and just different ones where we travel a little bit. And I felt great and had good training partners in the room. And so I go out there against him at Union County, and beat him in sudden victory. So we were like, all right, like game on. And I didn't know if I was going to see him at state duels because that was there was only 2 state dual tournaments back then. So
yeah.
I was like, okay, we could meet, and we didn't. So everybody kind of knew that year, like pretty much junior and senior year, who was going to be in the finals. It was a pretty big discrepancy then too between me and Noah Duke and everybody else. And then obviously Duke just wrestled a crazy good match in the finals. I mean, he just a crazy good wrestler, definitely would have been tough to pull that one off as a sophomore. I think bright lights too, that was my first sense of the finals. He had already been there and won it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot went into it to, losing but that one, but I still felt prepared, and he just was more prepared, and you can't be mad about that.
And I'm kind of glad you said that the state finals, it does feel different. I mean, it truly does. It's the mat, like the movie Hoosiers, where Gene Hackman takes him out to the gym. Okay, it's 10 feet from the rim to the floor. It's 15 feet from the foul line to the rim. The floor is the same size here as what it is in our gym. The mat is the same size. Still, you got 10-foot circle. Still got 28-foot outer boundary, but it's different.
Yeah,
it's a completely different feel when you're out there. I've got to officiate the state tournament twice, and both I got, of course, my finals match in 20, then a finals match as of this filming, the last state tournament for the girls. Feels different. It just does.
Yeah.
And anybody that tells you any different, they are pulling your leg, because it does feel different. All right, so you finished the year second place, state runner-up, 41-1. You got to feel going into that junior year that daggone it, I'm doing it this year, right?
Yeah, for sure. I pretty much just started training immediately after sophomore year ended. I was unsatisfied with weighting. I was really set on wanting to be, at this point, or still, Trinity has never had a 3-time state champ. So I was always, after I didn't win freshman year, it's like you set your mind on that, and then, sophomore year doesn't end the way you want. So you're like, okay, well, whatever. That's in the past. All you can do is, work forward. So I had a pretty good training off-season summer. I competed with Team Kentucky and did junior duels in Oklahoma, and just a lot of different off-season. Virginia Beach, I went 9-0 out there at the duels, and so I had a really good summer. And at some point in, I'd say, June, I kind of hurt my finger at practice, and I was like, well, that sucks, but I thought it was just going to heal. So kind of swelled up, and 2 weeks went by, and 3 weeks, and I'm still competing at this whole time. And it was about mid-July. I was competing at the Grand River Rumble, and I was going against Gunnar Henry, who actually was a runner-up in Indiana this year. And my grip wasn't there like it normally was. I'm a big cradle guy. I sometimes get in that crackdown and pull in, and my hand was so like just affected by it. So we started getting it looked into, and I had tore the ligament in my hand right here. You can kind of
Oh,
see a
yeah.
scar.
Yep.
And so we didn't know how bad it was at first. So we tried to do some physical therapy. And eventually I was like, this isn't getting any better. I wore a brace too, and just nothing was changing. So they did MRI, and started setting up for the surgery. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's completely torn. Like, this wouldn't have helped at all. So I'm like, all right, well, thanks for, welcome,
Yeah.
recommending it. But so I scheduled surgery as quick as I could, which was like mid-September. And I was back 3 days before our first tournament junior year. So, I did what I could to kind of stay in shape. Like, I mean, I was at the gym every day, hitting
Yeah.
legs or walking or plyo jumps. Or like as soon as I got the cast up, I was doing chest flies, just anything I could to
Yeah.
stay in shape. But there's still just something that you can't replicate about a wrestling practice.
Right.
So it definitely is not the way I wanted to start junior year. And I think you kind of saw it early on. I was like, my gas tank, I just don't think was quite at where it normally is, because I'm kind of a wrestler that, people know kind of pushes the pace.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it just wasn't exactly what I had pictured starting junior year, like, especially coming off a sophomore year. Like, I think
Hmm.
I took a loss in my second tournament of the year in the finals to an Indiana kid. And it was like, wow, I lost one time all last season. It was in the finals of state. And now it's like I lost at the Lafayette 5-star Classic. No knock on that, obviously, but
Right.
it's like, that's a little bit different. It hurts a little bit more since I'd won that as a sophomore. So it, I think it helped kind of push me to work harder that junior year, though, and kind of find a new level.
No, I get where you're coming from. Now we're not going to go through the entire state tournament bracket, but we are going to say, as a junior, 190 pounds, you're back in the finals.
To George Marshall Clark High School, the 2023 KHSAA State Wrestling Championships, presented by UK Healthcare. At this time, let's meet the finalists. Starting at the 190-pound weight class, the record of 44-3 from Louisville Trinity, a junior, Lane Kaiser. A junior from the Vindication with a record of 42-4, Uriah Hersey. The 175-pound weight class.
And you're wrestling Uriah Hersey from Paducah Tillman. And Uriah dropped a bunch of weight, and he actually brought that up in his review video. He went from 250 or 220, I believe, down to 190. And he says that he was dropping to get his body ready because he plans on competing or wrestling in college. So when you get the official word that like Uriah is in your bracket, not necessarily at state, just he's going to be going 190, you think this, I can do this, right?
Yeah. So I obviously knew Verzi. I knew him from middle school, just watching
Right.
him wrestle, but it never really occurred to me we were going to cross paths. And then junior year, I had planned on going 190. And I remember my first kind of sign that he might be going was when I did closer to my weight is when I did freestyle Greco State. And Verzi came up to me and he was like, hey, do you want to do like an exhibition? I was like, yeah, sure. Like, let me finish my bracket first. And he's like, I'm just letting you know I weigh like 230 right now. And I was like, I don't even know, 178, maybe
Yeah.
180. And I was like, okay, well, maybe not. Like, I've still got my whole bracket to wrestle. And then, I just didn't really 50 pounds, that's crazy. So I was like, all right, but I was like, that's interesting. He would ask me, like, I think he's trying to get a feel on me. Maybe he thinks I'm going up to 215 or something, that's what I'm
Right.
thinking. But then I start hearing the rumors once like junior year begins and stuff. And I had planned on going 90, but because I didn't get to pack on as much muscle as I wanted to because due to the hand, I had kind of been content with dropping down to 75. So with Trinity's schedule, we start a lot of our year out of state, and it was still 182 everywhere.
Right.
So I wrestled 182 at the Mater Dei. I wrestled there at the Florida Knockout Classic, which was a really tough tournament. And then I'd finally got my weight down in 175 for the time in time for the St. X duel, when which is obviously a big deal at Trinity, and
Right.
I just felt terrible. I made the weight, and I didn't look right. I didn't feel good. I was like, this isn't where I want to be. I don't want to like be drained every weigh in, and then I'm thinking about State's a 2-day weigh in. That just is not something that appealed to me at all. So I was like, I need to try to pack on this muscle. So every day after practice, I'd go to the gym and just really tried to get that weight up to 90. And then even for most of that first or junior year season, I don't think Verzi wrestled 90. I think he was at 215, but was like ranked at 90. So it was just kind of speculation. And our paths finally crossed at Bellarmine at our tournament that was hosted at Bellarmine. And I remember he came up to me that morning. He's like, "You wrestle 90?" And I was like, "Yeah, you?" And he's like, "Yeah, like, let's do this, And I was like, "All right," because I knew he won state the year before. So it was just, knew I could beat him. It was never like something in my head like, I've told a lot of people this after I beat Noah the first time. I kind of started putting people in perspective like that. Like, well, do I think Uriah Verzi could beat Noah Duke at that point? I'm like, no, and I beat Noah. So even at Virginia Beach, I'd kind of do that in my head. So that like whole time, it's like just something that kind of puts yourself and put it all in perspective. Like, no doubt, So I was confident. I trained hard. Me and George were training partners. So George Free. So I didn't really. There's not a better training partner, to have in the room besides someone who won state the year before too. So I felt ready, and I went out there and caught him with an inside trip, twice, and got the pin in the first. So it was a pretty cool moment just to start the season off. Like, not started, but it was halfway through, but start our rivalry.
Right. I get it. No, and that I'm glad you shared that story, because that's the beauty of this series is so much history has been not necessarily recent as in it just happened a few weeks ago, but like from the 80s, 70s, 90s, whatever it is, how people have had these matchup rivalries in back-to-back years, how you've heard the stories for so long and you just know the results. You don't know how it started. You don't know what tournaments you guys met at, or the story about you wanting to stay or him dropping or whatever the case is. So I'm glad that we have that, because your 24 matches is a phenomenal, which we'll talk about. It's a phenomenal way to end the series, if you will, or end your all series. But the finals match in 23 was phenomenal. It was. Back and forth. I was right there on the front row. This is the phone I was using to film it with. I had my little holder up and everything, and I was, everybody was into it, and it felt like a big time just boxing spectacle, like a big MMA spectacle. Like, people would pay a pay-per-view rate to see it, because they knew, Uriah coming in was a state champion. You were a returning runner-up, and the matches you guys have had, the one you had before, and just Paducah was in the team, winning the team standings. That they won the team championship that year. So it just felt like, man, this is big. You know what I mean? This just feels like a good state championship. And they, we have kids read it, or they do like the video boards, or even like the PA announcer. They do the sportsmanship statement. We will not tolerate trash talking, baiting of opponent, whatever. And at the end of it, they say the last line is, "Good luck, and let's enjoy the greatest sporting event around, a high school state championship." And it was probably the best match of the tournament, or the state finals, I should say. And there were some good ones. I'm not taking away from anybody, but you could just feel, man, you two were like going at it. You both wanted it, and I didn't know that you guys had like kind of exhibition or whatever at the beach, and he was heavier, you were lighter. I didn't know that part. But just knowing you guys have a little bit of a history, it just felt like, man, this is special. We're watching something special here. And
yeah, for sure. With the way they had to be those, sorry, not to cut you off.
no,
But
go
I was
ahead.
gonna
It's
say
your
the way
video,
that it
man.
was the last match. When I found out that was announced, because you hang out in that back room at GRC, and I think they texted team group chat that it's like we're starting at 2:15, and I was like, oh, funny joke. And they're like, no, like we are. And I was like, and why would we ever start at 2:15? It's like we've always started 106 and did heavyweight. But I was like, all right, and I had tons of coaches or people come up to me and they're like, this is the way it should be. You love putting on a show or, entertaining. We both knew, the whole tournament, it was going to be us too. And we had wrestled the weekend before at semi-state, and after the match, which he was actually beating me for a little bit, I came back and ended up pinning him in the third. That's like, I think all we said to each other was like, see you next week, because we knew. So it made it exciting, I think, for both of us, just because, you obviously know what's on the line. I'm looking for my first, he's looking for his second, but I have 2 wins over him at this point. So, it's like almost, it's just as big a deal for both of us. I definitely felt the tension.
Oh yeah, man. There was a old professional wrestling commentator named Mean Gene Okerlund, and he would always say, the tension's so thick you could cut it with a knife, and that's the way it felt in that gym. You could just feel, man, the main event, this is why we're here, you know what I mean? And you kind of alluded to it earlier, but I don't want to say unfortunately, because it depends on what part of if you're a Paducah fan, I guess great. If you're a Trinity fan, unfortunately. But Uriah wins that matchup with a fall, 5 minutes and 54 seconds.
Yeah, that sucks. 3-3, and I'm on bottom. I take that every day. I think I win that match from that exact position 98% of the time. It's just I'm a good scrambler. I get reversals on most people. If I don't get a reversal, I'm definitely getting out.
Right.
And so it was just one of those things that's a move he's obviously practiced, and just a weird mat return, and I got caught on my back, and I don't know if I was really pinned. I think it made it a lot more exciting to slap the mat. I think my shoulder was pretty far up, but I don't know. It's a very surreal moment, so I don't really remember it super well. Besides just kind of getting up and being like, "Did that really just happen? Like, did I really?" So and that's not the good kind of that really just happened. Yeah, it was just a weird night too. Just coming off of that, it's like I had a dream the next, whatever that night or whatever, that I came back after he put me on my back, and then it's like you wake up, you're like, no, you didn't, and so you're like, dang, like when's the next time I can see Uriah? Like, and it's not, I'm obviously like, I'm cool with him. We've always been very, respectful to each other, and he's a great, competitor, and someone I can always, look to challenge myself with. So I appreciate him for that. But I just needed to wrestle him again. I was like, I know I'm better than him. Like, come on, because everybody was like, well, it's 2-1, but and I'm like, he won the one that mattered though. Semi-state does not matter. So it took a while, but finally got 2 rematches. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, your 190-pound state champion, excuse me, 190-pound runner-up from Trinity, Kaiser.
You led me perfectly into your senior season 2024, 190 pounds. Now, we'll talk about your record and all that at the end of the video, but let's jump right into your state tournament run. You start off with a 15-second fall, and if I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry, but I believe it's Apule Hazelwood from Central Hardin. 15 seconds, man. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Yeah, I saw he was an eighth grader, and it reminded me of when I had Russellburg,
Oh,
way
yeah.
back when Russellburg won state that year, and I
Mhm.
was an eighth grader. So I was like, this is kind of a full circle moment. And a lot of people might have, kind of takedown cut a little more, but I was pretty much, just business at state, just get in,
Yep.
get out, avoid, any chance for anything crazy to happen, injury wise or upset wise. So
Yeah.
just quick pins.
Hey, man, I completely understand the thinking there on injury or, who knows who you're getting a hold of. You know what I mean? You just never know what somebody's background is. You get to the second round, you wrestle Zach Russ from Highlands. You win that 17 seconds. So 2 matches, and you've had a total of 32 seconds on the mat. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's an exciting way to start the first day of state. And just feeling fresh and just
Mhm.
ready. I felt very primed and prepared um during those matches. But, I knew my next match was someone I hadn't wrestled ever and was
Yeah.
ranked number 3 all year. So I knew how to take that one serious. And
And
that
speaking of that, at the quarterfinals, you're wrestling Logan Castle from Johnson Central, and you win that by a fall, 1 minute, 1 seconds. So 3 matches, and I believe you've wrestled 1 minute and 33 seconds, 34 seconds, 33
yeah,
seconds,
it
1 minute,
was it was
33
pretty
seconds.
close to that. Yeah, I
And
know at the end of day one I was beating the Rainies for most Pensley's time, and I was like, all right, let's keep this trend going. But
yep,
Castle, I hadn't wrestled him before, but Uriah had. And I
mhm,
think Uriah teched him in the third
he
at state
did.
duels.
You're
Yeah,
right.
so I looked that up and I was like, okay, well, let me see how I did it. So I saw it was mostly takedowns, and I was like, it kind of told me that Castle's probably a defensive wrestler.
Mhm,
When I watched him, he looked really good, in the earlier in the day. But I knew my plan was to go out there and attack from the first whistle, and so I did, and I kind of just felt him like after that first takedown, he was just ready to survive. You can kind of feel when guys are in survival mode versus like go, and
yeah,
and so and that's not even an insult to say, like he was in survival mode against me. I think I'm not saying he was trying to do it the whole time, but I think after I took down in like 4 seconds, I think he's probably like, let me reevaluate where I'm at here.
yeah.
And but I tried not to give him any time, so I tried to set him up for a couple fake cuts to
Mhm,
either a cradle or like a cowboy. And
right.
every time I'd kind of re-engage, he'd belly back out. So I ended up hitting him with like a kind of like a chin whip assassin, and stuck him. So that was, a great way to end the first day of state for sure.
And I think you guys wrestled on the mat I was working. I worked the mats on Thursday, Friday, got to officiate the girls on Saturday, and I had to run back to the weigh-in room. And I come back and the match was over. I was like, "You got to be kidding me, man! You got to be kidding me! You got to be kidding me!" So that finished up your day one. 3 matches, 3 pins, 1 minute 33 seconds. You couldn't be happier probably with your performances so far. You get to Friday, the semifinals. You're wrestling Josh Soder from Oldham County. And I want to go back. Logan Castle come in fourth place that year. I want to give him his just due. You're wrestling Josh Soder from Oldham County, and you win that by fall, 2 minutes, 49 seconds, and Josh goes on to get third place. So you've had um, 2 state placers, number 3, number 4, and you've pinned, I don't want to say easily, but I mean, you know, you
Yeah,
pinned them pretty handily, seems like.
that's another year, the discrepancy between me and Uriah, and the rest. And there's some good great wrestlers in there. There really are. I mean, I can appreciate it a lot watching it from the outside because I'm not someone that just kind of sits back in the stands and just goes out there and wrestle. I do like to study my opponents and
Yeah.
watch their match, and I appreciate a lot of what they're good at and what
Mm-hmm.
I think I can, hit them with. So I watched a lot of those different matches on the first day and the second day of just everybody. And the biggest thing going to the second day was my weight cut went crazy well. Like I cut down on purpose on day 1 to 190, so that on day 2, I had like 3 extra pounds because you get the extra pound. But
Right.
so I didn't weigh at 92. I already had a little more, and so I ate and drank just like a normal 1-day tournament. And I was like, I'll deal with the weight cut after. And I weighed out on the scale, I think at the end of the tournament, and I was like 0.2 over or something, so nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was awesome. So I went back to the hotel and I felt great, felt completely fresh, weighed in like a pound under, I think, on day 2. So I mean,
Right.
that's just crazy. And so I was excited that I wrestled Soder, and you're already kind of feeling that change. You feel, like you said, state finals different. Semis felt different even with the
Yeah.
mat changing a little bit. You're kind of in the center. It definitely just feels different than a normal quarterfinal, first round, consum, anything like that. So I get on the mat and I'm just ready to attack. And Soder, like you said, got third. He was a great wrestler too. He came back to the season right during or early, really, due to an ACL tear, I believe. So and he still, obviously performed really well under those. So yeah, you can't take anyone too lightly. I prepared for everybody at State the same.
Yeah.
And was just focused on just quick pins and getting them out of there, saving and conserving energy for Uriah.
I get it. And of course, we need to say we're at the horse park. This is your first time. Well, you wrestled, I guess, as an 8th grader, but your first time, there as a Shamrock in the finals, the big times, you know what I mean? The show. And it was time for us to go back to an arena, whether it was the horse park or wherever it was. It was time. Wrestling deserves its own arena venue, if you will. And
Agreed.
You're there. You win that semifinals knowing you've got that rematch. The one that you wanted the next day when you woke up, it comes a year later, and it's your old buddy from Paducah Tillman, Uriah Versey. And you kind of talked about it earlier, but I wanted to kind of bring it up here specifically. You wrestled Uriah earlier in the year at the Dragon, correct?
Yes.
And was that the only meeting?
This year, yeah.
Okay, this year that was your only meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay. I thought, and of course, I believe you won that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
8-3.
And winning that, I'm sure probably felt good, but like you said earlier, no, not taking anything away from South Oldham's tournament because it's a great tournament, a lot of good matches there, but it's not the same.
No.
It is not. That winning the Dragon tournament's not going to get you a banner or a plaque in Trinity's trophy case, in Trinity's mat room. You're not going to be doing the review video with me. I mean, like I said, not disparaging South Oldham in any shape of the imagination, but it's not the same. It just
for
isn't.
sure. And knocking off, because now I'm number 2 again, and I beat the number 1 in January. It happened my sophomore year with Noah Duke. It happened my junior year with Versey. Now it's my senior year. And so that's immediately what me and Coach Fleming, the head coach of Trinity, talked about. We were like, no, this isn't any different. We knew this would have been the outcome. We just got to keep training the same. And you don't obviously want to take that meeting lightly. Like, that obviously showed me that I'm justified in thinking I'm the better wrestler and everything. But I know there's probably some outside stuff going on with him. Like, he had been wrestling at 190 for very long at that point. So the weight cut was probably tougher than it was later in the season. It was hard. It was tough to prepare for him again because it had almost been a year that we wrestled. So it was in the second period. The score was tied 3-3 again, just like it was at State.
Right.
And I went on the attack and ended up catching him on his back at the end of the second period and went up 8-3 and went bottom third period and just was very defensive.
Yeah. No, that's, man, for real, you live and you learn. You know what I'm saying? I mean, same exact scenario, like you said earlier, 98% of the time you'll take that and you learn from it. And I don't remember what song it's in. I'm sure somebody will put it in the comments, but there's a song, failure isn't failure if a lesson's learned. And it may not have been the result you wanted in 23, but it seems like you learned a valuable lesson about yourself and wrestling him. So you are wrestling, like I said, Uriah. Now, we're not going to tell you the score. We have the match video. We have the Parade of Champions face-off match and medal ceremony. Talk to us about you win that semifinal by pin. The semifinals are going on at the same time, like I said, on those two mats. You look over, Uriah's won. Is it like, this is my time?
Yeah, for sure. That's immediately, what I thought. When I think about wrestling the state finals, all up until that point, it was against Verzi. A lot of other good wrestlers in the bracket too, but he's a good wrestler. He was looking for his third state title.
Yeah.
So and I just watched, and I'm sure he had too. I've said to a lot of different people. It kind of like we trained for each other for 2 years straight. Because we both knew we were the 1 and 2. So I can't think of a lot of other scenarios at weight classes where the discrepancy between 1 and 2 is so obvious for 2 years in a row. So it leads to a very interesting match in the finals where we both have just done so much research because he's got great coaches. I've got great coaches. And we both definitely felt prepared for each other.
And on that note, we are going to pull up and like we said, we're at the horse park. First time back there since 2020. Man, let's get this done. Let's watch it. Of course, here comes the 190s.
Yeah, I had never held the banner before, or the stick, so I saw Travis Stieber holding it in the front, and I was like, "You mind if I grab that this year?" So I kind of just took it from him because that was just something I kind of wanted to do for a minute now.
Oh yeah, man, that's a big honor, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to All Tech Arena, Kentucky Horse Park, for the 2024 KHSAA State Wrestling Championships.
There goes the lights. I'm glad I got that on video. That the lights, they kind of dimmed them up in the stands.
That is cool.
And it was cool that I got to go back and line you guys up.
A senior, wearing 42-1 from Louisville Trinity, Kaiser.
All right, so we're back here in the finals, under the lights. You got John Eshin as your official. This is what you dreamed of, man, right here.
For sure.
You got Jake Lowry, so you got two really good refs out there. All right out of the gate, you guys are going at it.
Yeah, that was the plan, was attack from the first whistle until the final whistle. Just never give him a chance to get on his attacks. And, like kind of right there, you saw me kind of fake a shot, kind of go for it at the same time and just be ready to get out. And he's got a really good club right hand underhook with left hand. Yeah. So that was a lot, time we spent protecting from that. And you can see him try it right there and then the clear out.
Yeah. Just feeling each other out, all right, so good back out there, keeping yourself safe.
Yeah, Uriah's build is very interesting. So it kind of, his hips are really heavy and he's super strong. So, if you get it on a leg, it's tough to finish if it goes to the mat just because of how heavy his hips are.
Now right here, probably the best scramble of the tournament. And Uriah is giving two right there. Scramble, scramble, scramble. We go out of bounds. Well, not yet. There we go. Now John blows the whistle, and he does exactly what you're supposed to do right here on calls like that. He consults his assistant official. Like I said, you got two really good. Coach Fleming's already at the table covering up the camera, and the takedown gets wiped off. I believe that was the correct call.
I also think so.
Livingston comes over, and he's wanting an explanation. And like I said, John and Jake got together right there like they're supposed to and got the correct call. So kudos to those guys.
Yeah, I thought that was the right call in the moment. It felt good, of course. But I've rewatched the match that night, and I was like, there was no control there. It was close, but not quite. And then, coming back to the circle, Verzi said something like, "I'll give you that too." And I think that's pretty funny. I like to talk during my matches too.
Right.
I don't take offense to it. Refs, I don't know how you do, but most refs don't really seem to like it. They kind of tell, stop talking. But just little things like that don't really bother me. I think it makes it interesting.
So we end the first period on our feet. Excellent scramble. That's what you get with high caliber wrestling. Man, there we go. So you take, you're on top here, and you instantly get a, like a side-by-side lock. And John awards a reversal right there to Uriah.
Yeah, that's a controversial call in my opinion too. I don't know. When I rewatched it, I think that could have easily been called out of bounds, and I think it could have been called 1. I don't really see how that was called 2, but it didn't really matter because I get it. I get a reversal right here,
Right.
So it kind of evens out. But yeah, when I watched that after, I was like, I guess the refs didn't want to throw me 2 calls, back to back. It kind of seems not
Like
great.
I said,
but
just a few seconds later, you get a reversal, and you can tell the way that you got your legs over. You can tell that you've done a lot of jiu-jitsu, passing the guard, if you will, and that was it right there. I mean, that was almost a textbook. Let's get our legs over. He gets an escape. We're 3-2.
yeah, and this is exactly where we were at junior year as well. In the second period, 3-2. Or pretty close. He's 3-3.
Right.
We made it. So I'm thinking I get an escape. It's 3-3. But I wanted to attack. I never was going to give him a chance to stop. So you can see that I've been pretty heavy on attacks or movements, and that's not going to change when I'm down, for sure. So kind of peeked out the back door there. But I can kind of feel him, I think, slowing down just a little bit here, and I thought he was getting tired. I think I was probably wrong, judging by the third period. But
yeah, nice ankle pull right there. Nothing though. It was a good job on his part to defend. It was a good attack on you, but good job by him defending. And
yep,
get a takedown.
We practiced shots to that right leg. And then same thing with that my front headlock. He's going to be expecting trips and
there
stuff.
It is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost the same scenario as last year in the finals.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get the pin there. I really did. A couple more seconds, I think I probably could have got it. But that gave me a good lead going into the third. So, no complaints.
Of course, you take down. And he lets you up right there. So were you kind of surprised that he let you go neutral?
Not at all, because 8-3 was the same score that it was at South Oldham, and I went bottom in the third period. He didn't turn me at all. I didn't do anything, so that was the final score. I got 1 stall warning. But so I knew he's going to cut me and he's going to try something. But in my head, I'm thinking he's going for big moves.
Yeah.
So I was a little there's a million things you can do when you watch a match a couple times and say you could change, but I think I probably was a little too overwhelmed in the moment of thinking, don't let him catch you, don't let him catch you, that I
Right.
kind of left my legs a little too wide open because I was thinking of upper body attacks. He does
Mhm.
freestyle and Greco, he goes to Fargo. So I'm expecting some of those attacks. And that's just what happens when you have a good wrestler like Uriah. He can throw a lot of different attacks at you. So you
Yeah.
just kind of have to be ready.
And nothing. No, good call, John. We're out of bounds. So we got a minute, 8 seconds left. You're up 9-5. And I guess the back of your thought process is he's got to have a 5-point move here.
Yeah, for sure. This is when you feel the nerves really start to kick on. And I think it plays a kind of a toll, not just on your body, but your mind. You start
Mhm.
just feeling a little more tired when you start thinking of when you kind of get out of the process of I'm going to score and I'm not going to let him score, get anything big. So I'm just going back to, state the year before and just saying, I just keep kind of doing little glance at the clock and I'm like, all right.
Yep.
And I'm comfortable here. I'm comfortable getting stalemates there. Or potentially scoring. We didn't get a whole lot of time to work out of that stalemate, but I do like to pry up on that leg and kind of sneak my way through. So I thought I was going to be able to score there.
Yeah.
I got called a stalemate. So
Now, you got hit right there for stalling, for backing out, and that was, the right call, John. That was the right call, and hits you again and gives him a point. So now you're like, oh,
yeah, I knew that was going to be his strategy at that point. You kind of saw it when that last one went out of bounds. It was like kind of hands to the face, like get out. So I was like, all right, well, right there, I probably should have capitalized more. I got that underhook and I kind of threw it. This was a great takedown by him last
yeah, it
second, but
was.
he timed that me going around perfectly. I thought that was an easy two for me, really. I was probably going to hook the leg, and all of a sudden he kind of clamped down on it. But
And
yeah,
you win, you get up, you give the big T, and you get hit for unsportsmanlike. That was
a little surprising to say the least. I think I didn't even realize I got hit for that until after the match.
oh
And then I
yeah,
was looking at it and I was like, I guess when me and Uriah were both on our knees right there and looking, it kind of looks like he stuck out his hand to maybe shake my hand, and I didn't see it. Like obviously I would have helped him up, shook his hand, gave him up anything, but I
right.
think instead I kind of got up and went to take off my ankle bands and kind of put the tee in front of his face unintentionally, 100% unintentionally.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I gotta look in the ref's eyes here, and maybe he saw me ignore the handshake and then go for a tee. Maybe,
And
but
it's I can understand, you saying it was unintentional. I believe you. I mean, and of course, I wasn't the official one. John, good friends with John, and I'm not. That was, it was his call, and it was, sometimes the way it is, man. Well, let's watch this medal ceremony because you're getting to watch my expert camera work here. I'm sitting on referee's row, filming. There's Logan Castle getting his 4th place, and of course Josh Sieber getting his, or Soder, I'm sorry, getting his 3rd place.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to be able to beat the 4, 3, and 2. So in that order too. I beat Uriah, then I beat Josh, and then I beat Castle. So it just kind of shows a little dominance to my title run this year too, which
Absolutely.
goes a long way.
And there you are, man, getting your medal, your bracket, and your state championship sign. I think those signs are one of the coolest little mementos that they give out.
I agree. I've got mine in my room right now. I have my bracket and stuff downstairs with the rest of my awards. So we have a little area for that stuff. But my 2024 state thing I keep in my mirror.
Yep,
It's
that
something
is
cool
so.
to
It's
look at.
just so it's so simple, but it's just like, man, that is so, like you see the teams with them and other sports holding them up. You're like, man, that is just so cool that they hand those out. And let's talk about that medal ceremony before we get to the match. You're sitting there in the chairs, getting ready to have your name called, and you done it. You finally done it. You got on top of the mountain, and you just didn't win it. You got the vindication, I don't know what else to use, the validation of beating, I guess, we can be rivals and not be enemies. And I think that's a great way about sports. We can be rivals. Doesn't mean we have to be enemies. And you developed a healthy rivalry with Uriah. I believe you both got better because of it, just as an outsider looking in. But it had to feel good, though, knowing that you accomplished that goal. Not just winning, but getting a chance to beat Uriah in the finals.
Yeah, that was exactly how I wrote it up. And in third grade, when I started wrestling, U State was at the horse park.
Mm-hmm.
So it just felt like a perfect end of the chapter of this,
Wow.
high school or, kind of Kentucky wrestling book of starting there in U State, getting there. I had a picture that I found of myself up towards the top, towards the entrance where you could see all the mats at U State. And I'm in third grade, and I made that my lock screen the last couple months of the season just to kind of look at that and, picture myself there. And a couple times my parents asked to remake it while we were at state, and I was just, no, I want to do it with the state championship bracket and trophy. And, and some people might view that as cocky, but I've never thought that that's going to be given to me. I just like to speak it out into existence,
Right.
like I think you should always be the most confident in yourself. You got to be more confident in yourself than anybody's confident in you. So, if you're saying stuff like that, it's going to seem a little more real to you already.
Oh, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
It was just awesome to get to be back at the horse park senior year on the mat against the guy that beat me in the state finals last year. It's my weight. I didn't run from anybody. I didn't hide from anybody. It was like I had a tough run there. It wasn't like by chance I made it to the finals, and it was like, nope. It was I came in the favorite, ended as the favorite, and just it felt great.
And you'll have to send me the photo of you when you were in third grade and the one you took afterwards. I can put them. You guys, of course, will see them right here. Visualization works. Whether or not you believe in it, whether or not you're familiar with it, I can tell you, Lane can tell you, other people that have had success, is visualization works. And this is not a personal development video, but visualization can work for the positive and for the negative. If you visualize yourself not winning, guess what? You're probably not going to win. But if you visualize yourself and actually can see yourself on that podium or see yourself with the mats behind you and the holding your bracket and all that with your medal, the universe is an amazing place. You know what I mean? You get in the right vibration with what you desire, and lo and behold, things begin to manifest. And it seems like you knew exactly what you were doing with that. Phenomenal match, both wrestlers. It was a shame somebody had to lose that one, but you win it 9-8. You cap off a great career at Trinity. And of course, you had two teammates, I should say, in the finals. You had Malachi, which his video's on the channel, and then Aiden, come up a little bit short. But what was great about that year, I don't know if you know this or not, but a Trinity State champion named Alex Ray, he's on the channel, 1990, 112 pounds. He drove in from North Carolina to watch the finals. And I don't know exactly where he was. I know he's going, as soon as he's watching this, he'll message me and tell me exactly. But he was on his way up, and the semifinals he hadn't got to the horse park yet. And I seen him like, hey, man, you're going to get a good show. Trinity's got 3 in the finals. And he just sent like a big shamrock back to me or whatever as an emoji. He got there. I had to go up in the stands. And Grant Ullman was, I'm not sure if you know Grant.
Grant was trained with me a couple times this season, and just also Grant's an awesome guy. Would text me different stuff and rewatched all of me and Uriah's matches with me before state, gave me pointers. He linked his state champ match review with that you guys did,
Yeah.
and was showing me something that he did in his final he thought I could pull off. So it was awesome to see him there too. And Alex Ray after the final told me he lives 2 hours away from him going to college.
Okay.
So,
and that kind of leads us into the next part of the video is what is next for you, man?
yeah, right now it's been nice. I took a couple weeks off, which I haven't done in a while. After sophomore and junior year, I want to just get right back after it. I competed in nationals my junior year and took fourth out there at Virginia Beach Nationals. That was a really tough tournament, a lot of state champs, and I felt good. But after this season, I had a couple pretty big nagging injuries. My ankle for one really was bothering me. I wore an ankle brace the last month this season and every day at practice, and that was something I wanted to get right. And my right wrist too, like a couple days before state, woke up, hurt to move, and I was like, this is awesome. 2 days before state, it hurts to move my wrist, so I just took some time off to get my body healthy. But I'm back to training now. I'm not really sure when my next tournament is, but I know I leave for college, and when I'm going to Campbell University in North Carolina. They're a Division I school in the SoCon. They were runner-up this year in the SoCon division. Lost a close one to App State.
Okay.
They were the dual champions of SoCon, but at the national championship or their SoCon championship, they were runner-ups, and so I'm super excited to go there. I leave early. I believe it's June 27th. I leave for summer training, so that's going to be fun. It's far away, but it's an exciting future for sure.
Absolutely. And, I feel pretty confident speaking on behalf of the Kentucky wrestling community through the platform that we've created with this YouTube series. And we wish you well. I mean, go and do great things. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
Whenever, I guess, like I said, we're filming this in March 24. When the season starts, we'll link your profile there on this review video for the school, and that way everybody can keep up with you, see how you're doing, because we love to keep up with our collegiate wrestlers. And I've got 2 ending questions for you. Grant Ullman reached out today, and he's every now and then he'll send me, watch this video, watch that video, and he said, start asking wrestlers we do videos with about what's their favorite wrestling memory. So it can be anything from the time you started until present. What's your favorite wrestling memory?
Man, I can think of just 3 that really stick out, so I'll go fast so I can get
let's have them.
Yeah, so first one, very young. I was at Fern Creek Youth Tournament. I was wrestling for Spencer County. One of our head coach or whatever, he is with us on the wall. We're talking, and this kid comes up, and he's looking at his bracket. He's like, do any of you guys know who Bai is? And our head coach goes, yeah, Bai's in the restroom. So this kid, thinks that Bai, and that's always just something that's always been funny to me.
I like that.
The second one has to be the Florida Knockout Classic, that whole tournament. We were down in Florida for 3 days, and that was a tough bracket. I think I ended up beating 2 out of the 3 Florida state champs at 190 there.
Wow.
It was a tough bracket, and I took third. George took fifth, and we were the only 2 that placed for Trinity. And but then the last time we got to hang out in the hotel, and it was like a water park too. So it was just a lot of fun, staying up late. We played hide and seek through the whole place. So that was really cool. And then I'd say the third one has to be just winning state this year. That was just the whole tournament was just a great experience. So many relationships that you only really sometimes talk to people, like you said, at state. So some of these people I see once a year. So it's always nice to just meet everybody and talk to everybody.
I'm the same exact way, man. It's one time a year. People come in. People will travel for the state tournament. They want to come see the finals. They want see everybody, fellowship, if you will, congregational meeting. And man, I like that. I'll have to use that Bai story Buy. Yeah, man. Buy's in the concession stand, Bubba. You know, buy
Yeah,
one outside.
and it was so funny.
I like that. Now we like to end the video by giving everybody the opportunity to say whatever they'd like, shout out, call out, whatever it is. Anything you'd like to add that we've not brought up, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, you can just follow me on Instagram, lane.kaiser. I'll post anything on my story or something like that. If there's a tournament coming up or something, I think I'm gonna start posting some training stuff on there. So, you can follow me on there if you have any other questions or, would want to reach out. And I'm talking to Malachi about maybe doing a youth camp this summer. So, and I'd like to open myself up for like private lessons. So, DM me with that if interested. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up.
I'll put, of course, your channel, your Instagram, and all that. I'll put that way everybody can find you. And man, we just like I said, go and do great things. Whether it's on the wrestling mat or in life, we know you're going to represent the state of Kentucky and our state championship lineage well. So we salute you on that. And the to the underclassmen, to the middle schoolers, elementary school kids, whatever it is, just because your state tournament or your season may be ended in regionals, you didn't make it to the state tournament or whatever, doesn't mean that your career has to be over. Lane come back from getting beat back-to-back years in the finals, and he was able to put a storybook ending on his wrestling career in high school. So just don't get discouraged. Maybe in the moment, maybe like I said, take a couple weeks, get back at it, and you never know how this crazy thing of life's going to take you. You never know where wrestling's going to take you. You never know how your story is going to end either. But I believe we've covered a lot of ground here, a lot of great things. Let's wrap this one up, guys. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys and girls on the mats.